Again, happy liturgical New Year. I always love reflecting upon and considering New Year's because it's a time when so many people want to make a change. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. Even if it does make a change, right? A true, lasting, life-changing change, it takes time, right? I can't go to the gym for the first time since maybe last year's New Year's, right? And go for one day and suddenly have my life and everything in it transformed, right? Things take time, preparation, diligence, and unfortunately, patience as we wait for things to change. And this is precisely the backdrop from which I want to consider this beautiful season of Advent that we begin today. Specifically, the aspect of preparation and waiting. See, during Advent, our focus is on preparing and waiting for the coming of Jesus. And the church has always taught during this season that there are 3 comings of Jesus that we should consider. The first being when Jesus came from heaven to earth in the incarnation. God becoming man as a tiny, humble, incredibly adorable baby on Christmas. The second being the ways in which Jesus comes to us here and now in our day-to-day lives. Focused on the fact that he does come to us every single day. And finally, the third being that we await and prepare for Jesus' coming again in glory when he returns to earth at the end of time to take all his faithful followers and disciples with him to heaven. Within all 3 of these, the key concept that I'm going to admit I really struggle with at times is that concept of waiting and preparing, which again is what we're called to practice and embrace during this season. We cannot, unfortunately, just say a really, really nice, perfectly crafted prayer on this first Sunday of Advent, asking God to perfectly prepare our hearts, and then consider the job done, and now just go about planning our Christmas parties, because our hearts are now set and ready to go. We've successfully completed our liturgical New Year's resolution. Our spiritual gym membership did the job. Doesn't work like that. We have to bring our hearts before our Father constantly. And if it seems like nothing is changing, and if it seems like we aren't progressing, we have to trust that waiting and preparing is making a difference, even if we see absolutely 0 results. As I was praying about how futile and fruitless this painful waiting and preparation at times can seem, what came to mind was my beloved Chicago Bears. You see, in football, there is this incredibly effective and truly potentially game-changing play known as the play-action pass. It's one of the most exciting plays. But in order for the play to be effective, you actually have to be very, very patient and wait for the right moment to unleash the play upon the game. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about football, I'm going to try my best to quickly set the stage to help it make sense. Right? When a team has possession of the ball and is on offense, the coach can either call a running play, where they hand the ball off to the running back, or they can call a pass play, where the quarterback steps back, scans the field looking for an open receiver, and attempts to throw the ball to them. At the same time, the defense tries to predict if the offense is going to call a run play or a pass play. If they think it's going to be a run play, they will put extra defenders right up close to the line of scrimmage to clog up any openings that the running back will try to run through with the ball. But if they think it's going to be a pass play, they'll position less defenders close to the line of scrimmage, and instead they'll have them stay further back to try to cover those larger areas further down the field where the offensive team's receivers are lurking, waiting to have the ball thrown to them. Here's where the play-action pass comes in, and why it requires the patience and waiting that we as disciples and followers of Jesus are called to practice during Advent. The play-action pass, it's set up by a coach having his team run the ball over and over and over. Running the ball far more often than passing, so that the defense expects for a running play to come next. What can happen, however, is as the coach selects and calls run plays more frequently and the defense begins to expect it, it becomes easier and easier for that defense to defend against the run. And oftentimes these running plays begin to get less and less effective. And so as a fan, as I'm watching this, I will start yelling at the TV. I'll be like, just pass the ball. The run isn't working. Pass the ball. It is so incredibly frustrating. It is painful. It is discouraging. It can feel just like in life when we most likely go through periods where nothing seems to work, where our best ideas fall flat, our family life, our friendships, and our relationships don't seem to be running smoothly, where we seem stuck, and it seems like these New Year's resolutions, the change isn't sticking. It isn't making a difference. But you know what? Our Father, our Heavenly Father, He is the best coach ever. He is even better than the coach, Mike Ditka, right? Our Father knows exactly what He is doing as we wait and prepare. He's with us even when it seems like we're not making progress. You know what He's doing? He is setting up the play action pass. Because here's what the play action pass is, and it is brilliant. The offense sets everything up to look like a running play. And again, they've been doing running play after running play, right? They set it up to look like a running play. The ball is hiked, the play goes into motion, the quarterback turns around, he holds the ball out to the running back, who fakes a motion that makes it look like he's taking the ball, and then he runs forward just like he would if he actually had the ball. And what happens as a result is the defense follows the running back, and they all try to run after him and tackle him because they think he has the ball. But in reality, what happens is the quarterback, he hangs on to the ball, and then he turns around to look over to the field where his receivers are, who are waiting for him to throw the ball. And the defense in the secondary, which is a fancy term for the deeper part of the field, right, further away from the line of scrimmage, the line of scrimmage where the defense has positioned most of their players because they thought a run was coming. The defense in the secondary is completely overmatched. They can't cover all the receivers because they were completely faked out. So often a play action pass results in a huge play. Right? A deep bomb that the quarterback throws and the receiver gets. There is huge forward momentum. And it is so exciting and joyful as a fan because of how well it works. Sometimes it actually works so well that as a fan you don't even get to see the play because the cameraman gets faked out and zooms in on and follows the running back. Right? Even the camera itself isn't focused on the real action. It's the best. It's my all-time favorite play. But in order for it to work, the only way it works is to spend a lot of time waiting, preparing, and setting the whole thing up by running the ball slowly, methodically, and consistently, even when it doesn't seem to be working, even when it doesn't seem to be getting you very far. If after a few not so great runs, a team gives up on running, then the defense is going to begin to expect a pass, and they'll never take the bait for the play action pass. The same exact thing is true of our spiritual lives and our lives of faith. Life can be hard. Life can be really, really hard. And it can feel at times like we are running into a wall of defenders who aren't defending our hearts at all. Right? It can feel sometimes like everything we believe in, stand for, and love are simply under attack. Like the defense of the world wants to steal and turn over our hearts, just like a defense wants to steal the football from the offense. Advent is a season that we're given in which God invites us to patiently wait, to continue to run towards Him and His heart, to trust His coaching as He teaches us and calls us to love, and to know that when nothing seems to be working, God is simply setting up the big play. After all, in the Old Testament, there were plenty of plays that God, the coach, called up in which He had amazing running backs on the field. Amazing, right? Plenty of babies born who ran forward with faith and made a difference. Look at Moses, who had to be floated in a basket down a river in order to live. Samuel, who was born to his mother Hannah, who was barren. Ruth, who after her husband's death chose to take care of her mother-in-law Naomi, while also choosing to believe and put her faith in Naomi's God, our God. Ruth then remarried and became the grandmother of King David. King David, who was the smallest of his brothers but took down Goliath. Queen Esther, who saved the entire people of Israel when they had been condemned to death. John the Baptist, who was born to Elizabeth, who was advanced in years. All of these amazing, incredible saints, they did their part. They ran forward how they could. They made a difference. But none of them were able to bring about our salvation and redemption. None of their persistent running, none of their waiting, preparation, and perseverance enabled us to be saved and reach the end zone of heaven. But every single moment of their lives, in which they beautifully followed the coaching, the guidance, the teaching of our Father, it all set up the moment that you and I now begin preparing for as we begin Advent. It set up the coming of Jesus. Right? And I will say that the coming of Jesus was the most effective and important play-action pass in human history, because our enemy didn't see it coming. The angel Gabriel appeared to Mary, asked if she'd be willing to be the mother of God. She said yes. The Holy Spirit overshadowed her, and in that moment, in that precise moment, God himself soared from heaven to earth, completely faked out the enemy. If you remember a few minutes ago, I said that in order for the play-action pass to be effective, you have to be very, very patient and wait for the right moment to unleash the play on the game. God did just that. And at the precise moment in our history, Jesus came onto the field. And he played the game of life, running the right way for 33 years. Even himself, Jesus himself, having moments where the people around him were defensive, where they pushed back. Moments where it didn't seem like he was gaining any ground in establishing his kingdom. But he was. Moment by moment, conversation by conversation, hour after hour of prayer in communion with his and with our Father. And finally, Jesus died on the cross. The ultimate game over. Except that it wasn't. Right? Almost everyone was faked out. Because although he did 100% in fact die, he came to life in the resurrection. And he invites all of us to celebrate with him in the end zone in the ultimate touchdown celebration. And it all began when Jesus, God's presence on earth, literally touched down on earth at Christmas. My dear brothers and sisters, Jesus is with you right now. And every single day, he wants for you to prepare for the unique, individual, particular ways in which he will present himself in your life today. And the ways tomorrow he'll present himself to you tomorrow. It may involve waiting. It might feel like nothing's happening, but it is. Trust our Father, the coach. Trust Jesus, our quarterback. And trust that God, he has you lined up right where he wants you, even if it feels like play after play after play isn't going like you would want or expect. Trust, even if you're yelling at the TV screen, that in this moment is airing the game of how your life is currently playing out. Wait, prepare, have patience. Keep showing up. Keep having patience. Keep playing. Stay on the field. Keep praying. And get ready for God to do something big in the exact moment that he knows is right.